In a small town, life was bustling and lively, and only behind the noise of the city hustle, behind the facades of what were then still modern buildings. An old two-story wooden house with boarded-up shutters and doors hid its secrets. People had long forgotten about this building, and it didn't bother anyone, tucked away in a secluded courtyard, surrounded by two walls of houses and fences. Occasionally, local drunks would wander into the nook to relieve themselves, and only the older generation was wary of this place, knowing about one rather unpleasant story when, during renovation and repairs, 4 people died in that house at once from heart failure. The rest of the workers flatly refused to work there and boarded up the shutters with planks so that no one else would be tempted to go inside. Coming back from other cities for summer break, a lively group of friends who had known each other since school got together, 4 guys and 3 girls. The spirited Sonia was the life of the party. She played guitar, went hiking, was afraid of nothing, and always tried to be first in everything. One day, as they were coming back from a dance, the group happened to be walking right past the place where the wooden house stood. The young men needed to relieve themselves and went around the corner. When they returned to their waiting friends, they mentioned that they had completely forgotten about the boarded-up little house. They started discussing why it was boarded up, what might be inside, and whether it might be possible to hang out there. Then one of the guys asked, "Does anyone have the guts to spend an entire night in that house?" To this, the quick-witted Sonia replied, "What's so scary about that? Grown-ups have long known that ghosts are just children's fantasies. The only thing to be afraid of in that house is the rats. And anyway, let's go check it out tomorrow and try to get inside." The cheerful group agreed without hesitation, and everyone went home. The next morning, armed with flashlights, the young people gathered in that alleyway and started looking for any way to get inside. One of the guys discovered that the door to the cellar wasn't securely closed. With a bit of effort, the boys pried off the boards and swung the doors open. A staircase covered in moss led down, and a damp, cold draft wafted from the dark opening. Just like a pharaoh's tomb, Sonia cheerfully remarked at the time, and strode ahead. Shining the yellow beam of their flashlights on the damp floor and walls, the group found a staircase leading up. Climbing up, they found themselves on the first floor of the forgotten house. Through the overgrown cracks of the boarded-up shutters, faint rays of sunlight barely made their way in, illuminating long-abandoned objects, paintbrushes, buckets with dried-up mixtures, wallpaper rolls rotted at the edges and flattened, lying on the table, and furniture covered with old newspapers. "Wow! Newspapers from '58, exclaimed one of the guys. Everyone upstairs. Sonia called from the stairs, and the group cheerfully stomped up the creaky, rotten staircase together. Upstairs there were 6 rooms, all with some leftover furniture, and in one of them there was a mossy old sofa. While the group was examining the contents of the wardrobe, one of the guys, and then everyone, suddenly heard footsteps on the first floor. It sounded like a child running around. "Looks like someone came in right after us," Sonia said playfully. But suddenly, a deafening bang came from the attic. "Let's get out of here," one of the guys whispered. But Sonia was like a woman possessed. She even said back then, like, "Why are you all so scared?" She said, "If you want, I'll prove to you that I'm not afraid to spend the night here alone." No one supported the idea. Cautiously glancing around, the group was already heading down to the basement toward the exit when suddenly, something heavy rolled right above their heads and crashed loudly into the wall. The guys ran outside in terror. The sun was shining brightly, and their eyes hurt from the sudden shift from darkness to light. Looking back, everyone realized that Sonia was missing. "So where is she?" one of the boys asked. "Sonia, stop joking around," someone else shouted. But then footsteps were heard coming from the darkness. Squinting happily, a girl was coming out of the basement, carrying a beautiful brooch with shimmering stones in her hands. "Did you see what I found?" Sonia asked proudly. "When you all rushed outside, my sweater got caught on the door of a cabinet, and it opened. Hanging there on some old rags was this. Isn't it beautiful?" "Wait, are you really planning to spend the night in this house?" her friends asked her, a bit warily. To this, Sonia replied, "I told you, I'm not scared. But you all are just a bunch of superstitious scaredy cats. There's nothing in this house except rats and old rags. So tonight, I'll get ready and go in." "Well, in that case, sorry, but we'll be waiting for you outside." That evening, the group met up near the abandoned house. Sonia, with her backpack slung over her shoulder, was determined. The guys dragged a whole bench from somewhere in the courtyards and started getting comfortable to wait. "If anything happens, just yell, okay? It'll be fine." "You'll see," Sonia assured them. "At exactly 6 in the morning, I'll come out to you cheerful, maybe even well-rested." And she disappeared into the darkness of the basement. The guys sat down on the bench to wait. The nights were hot. There was plenty to talk about. The guys even brought some wine. All in all, the wait wasn't so boring after all. Around 3 in the morning, their conversation was suddenly interrupted by a loud crash. It sounded like a wardrobe had fallen over in the house. But there was no scream from Sonia. "She's probably fighting off the rats," one of the guys joked. And the conversation carried on. Dawn was already breaking. Only 2 hours left. The group was already getting tired. Long pauses of silence crept in between their conversations as they strained to catch any sound from the house. Then it was 6 in the morning, 6:10, 6:15. "She's probably sleeping. Let's go in ourselves," one of the guys said. Huddling closer together, they headed into the house. The silence was so deep, it seemed you could hear a butterfly's wings. Climbing up from the basement to the first floor, at first the guys didn't notice anything, and only one of them shone a light into the corner where Sonia was curled up in a ball. She was completely disheveled, shaking, and in tears. When the guys approached her, she couldn't even straighten up. Her whole body was shaking with violent tremors. Her clothes were torn, and the girl's face and body were completely covered in blood. After these events, Sonia spent a year in a psychiatric hospital. After she was discharged, she didn't speak to anyone, only wrote short answers on scraps of paper. No one in the group ever really understood what had happened to her in that house. All they know is that the doctors counted about 50 human bite marks on Sonia's body, numerous scratches, and 2 knocked out teeth. After being discharged from the hospital, the girl lived for 2 more months before taking her own life. What could have happened in a house where there wasn't a single human being or any living soul at all? Her group of friends still doesn't know. When Sonia was brought outside, the guys ran to call the police and an ambulance. The police searched the entire house and didn't find anyone, not even rats. No one could have run out unnoticed. There was only one exit. The other windows and cracks remained boarded up and untouched.